Hey, I'm Jason here on Magid's game team. I'm here with Josh Fortey, another member of our game team, and we're here to talk with everybody today about kind of the different methodologies we use here on the game team to address the research questions we get from our partners and clients. We can get started by just kind of talking a little bit about kind of from the quantitative side of things. What are some of the kind of unique challenges that you face when it comes to doing quantitative research around video games?
Yeah, so I think kind of this applies to both qual and quant in the same regard a little bit here, Jason. But I'd say kind of the big thing that we tend to see in the Magis game team is that a lot of the issues and a lot of challenges that our clients are bringing to us, they're not all that different to what we might see in different industries. And we've both experienced this in our past. The kind of core questions that people are coming to us: how big is my market? Who should my target market be? Who should my priority target be? What types of things can I produce? What types of games? What types of features, elements within a game should I be elevating or developing to really cater to the needs of my target market? So we're getting all of those types of questions where qual kind of helps illuminate, in addition to quant, is really around questions around motivation, needs. What is motivating my target market? What can I do to produce something to meet their need? So to some extent, the kind of questions we're getting on the quantitative side aren't all that different to a lot of the questions that other industries might be coming to us. And as a result, the same types of tools are being utilized on the quantitative side of things. From a qualitative side of things, I envision the same types of tools are also being used to answer these questions.
Obviously with COVID, we've changed a lot of kind of our tool set and, things are starting to kind of return. But for gaming, especially qualitatively, we still do focus groups, even if they're online. We still do interviews, we still do IDIs. I think one of the big differences that I found with gaming specifically is that we do a lot more longitudinal diary work, especially around our playtesting. Because again, video games are such a nuanced and complex thing in the lives of consumers that it can often be giving them, an incomplete view if you're just talking about a snapshot of a single day. Especially with a lot of these service games that people are playing now, they take up such a big role in the lives of consumers that being able to look at them over an extended period of time gives you a much more complete view of the decision-making process around how are people choosing what to play in the moment. What do these games mean for them, right? What's motivating them? How do they fit into their lives socially? Games are more social than they've ever been before. And especially with COVID, we saw that games took on exceptional amount of weight when it came to socializing, when you couldn't go hang out at the park anymore and things like that. And so
you mentioned complete view there, Jason, I think is an important topic for us to both touch on here. People tend to think of qualitative and quantitative as being kind of discrete from each other, kind of mutually exclusive. And we don't tend to take that view. Yes, there's some times where qualitative is probably the only methodology we might use. There's other times where quantitative might be the only methodology we use. But oftentimes, getting that complete view kind of requires multiple methodologies. We'll often layer that with kind of internal expertise and additional consulting, but there's a role within certain challenges and certain questions where getting that complete view does require speaking to people directly, but also speaking to people at scale with quantitative.
Definitely, there's always that, I can think of so many examples of times where we've had a qualitative groups leading into quantitative survey development, and we've discovered something that nobody anticipated was going to be an issue, right? Like, nobody thought that the progression mechanics in this game were going to be an issue, but then we do qualitative leading into the survey, and everybody won't stop talking about how much they hated the progression mechanics or something like that, which then gives us a little bit of an insight into a area of focus when we're developing the survey, and we can dig more deeply into that. And that kind of intel can be super valuable. And on the flip side, the same thing where we do a survey and we find out, oh, wow, everyone's, the progression mechanics got such negative ratings across the board. Maybe that's something we should investigate more deeply in qualitative, and we're able to get that sense of, what are the specific areas and comparison points in which people use to describe their relationship with progression mechanics.
Yeah, one thing we haven't touched on, we spoke about kind of how some of the challenges, some of the tools are kind of similar to other industries. But one thing I think sets us apart in the types of research we do is we're speaking to very, very passionate people. We're speaking to people who have engaged with games. Some 10 years plus they've been engaging with a game, which creates challenges for the types of questions that you can ask, the types of things that you can expose to these people. For example, a new game concept. It's not so easy as presenting the concept in itself, because it poses significant like risk of leak, for example, or someone quickly going onto a forum. So there's things we need to do to address those types of things in both qualitative and quantitative. So interesting to see your thoughts on kind of some of those things that we need to do in those scenarios, Jason.
I mean, obviously, when you're doing focus groups, right? Gamers are the kind of audience that can sniff out a fake a mile away. And so if you make the incorrect Dark Souls reference, it's all over, right? And so I think we as a group have a lot of experience, and as gamers ourselves, a deep background knowledge that allows us to pass the sniff test when it comes to the people we're working with, especially participants. But also we understand security. We understand the importance of security. I think gaming is a unique industry in how important security is to it. And so we know all the rules in terms of what you can talk about in a survey before it leaks, as well as basic stuff like don't ever work on a deck on a subway. We all remember when that Tomb Raider game leaked because somebody on the subway was working on it, And so I think these are the kind of things that are unique challenges that we face working in the gaming area specifically. But I think we as a team are always keeping those things in mind. Well, Josh, thanks for talking with me today. It's been great kind of talking about the nitty gritty of what we do. If anybody watching has any questions or anything like that or wants to get in touch, please reach out, because we're always excited to talk with other people about the things we do all day.